everyone. Living history museums, like Sovereign Hill, often set up the expectation that visitors will experience an authentic past when they invite them to travel back in time or step into another world. But what is it that makes visitors feel as though they are experiencing an authentic past? The way in which living history museums communicate has a lot to do with it. Historical research is combined with immersive, sensory-rich environments, which includes costume, performances, recreated buildings, landscapes, working machinery, and interactive experiences. This creates a multi-experiential environment that looks and feels just like living culture. Costumed interpreters can influence the degree of immersion and the sense of authenticity visitors experience. Rather than telling people about past beliefs and values, costumed interpreters show visitors through how they behave and interact. This can make the past seem more tangible and real. Some performances are designed to communicate a truth about the human experience. They engage emotions and create a connection that feels authentic to the visitor. When visitors are given the opportunity to participate in an immersive environment by doing something or by taking on a role, such as panning for gold in the creek or becoming an 1850s student in the costume school, the feeling of an authentic connection to the past can also arise. In other words, living history museums have the potential to evoke feelings of authenticity for the visitor. So, what role does historical research play in creating the authentic experience that visitors feel? History provides the foundation of the stories that living history museums communicate to their visitors. Living history museums build their credibility on the historical research that they undertake and the degree to which they bring this history to life. They use realism to communicate the past. Realism in living history museums can involve making recreations or reproductions, such as many of the buildings and horse-drawn vehicles around Sovereign Hill. The historical sources for making recreations and reproductions vary from images, original artefacts, and written sources. Realism can also involve displaying original objects and showing them at work, such as some of the machinery in Sovereign Hill's quartz mine surface operations or the wheelwrights. Sovereign Hill also has a few original buildings, but this practice is more common overseas. Historical research provides the content and defines the boundaries of interpretation, but here's the rub, the problem. The degree of accuracy that realism aspires to is impossible to achieve. Gaps in historical records are just one of the factors that can make it difficult to present an accurate past. Take, for example, Sovereign Hill's recreation of the Criterion store. From Cogne's lithograph, we know what this business looked like from the outside, but not the colour of the building. The best we can do is use the colours that we know were available at the time. Newspaper advertisements sometimes tell us what goods businesses sold, but often there's no evidence of what they look like inside. To fill these gaps, we consider design trends in England, as these were more than likely transplanted here. Gaps in historical understanding can also arise because one group's version of the past, usually those with power, has been privileged over others. For example, the understanding that Chinese immigrants were passive victims of racism on the goldfields dominated the historical narrative for quite some time. Fortunately, further research into Chinese protests during the 1850s has enabled us to challenge this understanding and present Chinese perspective in our camp. And this is an image of our Chinese temple where we've used audio-visual technology to tell that story. The present day also throws up obstacles to achieving realism's agenda. 1850s Ballarat was a lot smellier, messier and more unsanitary compared to today. Modern day health and safety standards, as well as visitor comfort, prevents us from delivering on this level of accuracy and detail. Making the museum more accessible also means that we have added things that wouldn't have been there in the 1850s, such as access ramps and rails, an accessible panning area, and tactile indicators. Without these additions, we risk excluding people from the experience. As materials, such as bark for huts and certain fabrics for clothing and furnishing become no longer available, we are increasingly looking for substitutes that look close enough. Loss of skills in making objects of the period also creates challenges in curating realistic displays. Modern workplace standards such as equity also impact on interpretation. At Sovereign Hill, female interpreters can take on the role of redcoat soldiers, an opportunity that did not exist in the 1850s. The present affects the interpretation of the past in many ways, and unfortunately there's not enough time to explore more examples here. But let's be honest, the goal of realism, to portray the past accurately and true to life, was never achievable from the outset. Living history museums need to be more transparent about the gaps, about how the gaps in the historical records and the demands of the present affect how they portray the past. While these dynamics aren't unique to living history museums, they face specific challenges, as the invitation to travel back in time to experience a past that feels real and authentic doesn't necessarily encourage transparency about the processes involved in history making.